Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Corrine. Hope you're all having a great day today. Today, we're going to talk about some of the basics on alcohol, ink, blending, coloring, whatever, creating backgrounds using alcohol inks. Yeah, so there's a few things you're going to need. I highly recommend. I like to use a oven liner from the Dollar Tree for a base to kind of protect my surface a little bit as much as possible. I have a easy to clean surface here. This is my Tonic Studios glass mat. It's the one that I like to use. It's got a little bit more space to it. I like to use this one when I'm using alcohol inks because it also fits on my oven liner. So you're going to need some alcohol inks. The ones that I have are these particular ones are by Ranger. I also have a few that are by who are these guys? I can't remember. Mhm. I don't even know who these are. Marabou. Yes, Marabou. And these are a color shift one. So they've actually got like kind of like a mica and they've got a bling to them. You can hear the ball. So obviously you want to make sure that you're same as when you're using any kind of paint or marker or anything else. If it's got the ball bearing in it, you want to make sure that you're shaking it so that the ball bearing is mixing through whatever you've got there. I have a few mixatives from Ranger as well. So this is the rose gold one. And this one should also have, yep, there it is, the ball bearing. So I want to make sure that that's on the go, mixing them up. Use the gold, make sure that that's closed before I get going here. So I've got, this is a mixative, and then I've got the alloy. So I kind of want to give you a go, to kind of show you what the differences are. So I've got one's a mixative, one's an alloy. These are what add the metallic accents or some of the metallic accents to your cardstock. Okay. And still got a bit to go, but we're ways away from using that yet. The other two things that you're going to need, or you actually only need one of them, but there are two different bases that we can use. So I'm going to move my alcohol inks out of the way here. Um, you might want gloves if you care about getting ink on your hands. This is easily removable with isopropyl alcohol, or even just by the time you shower, wash your hair the next day, usually comes out of your fingers and stuff like that. So it's not a problem. Okay, so there are two things here that you can use for moving the alcohol around. Okay, one is isopropyl alcohol, 90, it needs to be 90+%. So you can get 91, 99%. This is going to be your least expensive way of utilizing this. And I'm going to show you the difference between the two. Okay. So this is the first one. You can get four of these this size, or four of them from Costco. I think it's like $9.99 or something like that. So you can. This is definitely the most cost-effective way of doing it. And then I just decant it into a little bottle with a uh, fine nozzle here, and then I can use as much as I like. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. The other way is using alcohol blending solution. This is by Ranger. And there are, again, there are reasons why you use each one. The difference with this one, though, if you are using, so anytime you're using alcohol inks, you want to use them in a well ventilated area. Okay. The fumes can get um, quite overwhelming. You can make yourself pretty high, give yourself a headache, pass out. So you really want to be careful. But this particular one, if you're using alcohol blending solution, you do not want to be spraying it in anything. This one, for example, you can put it in a spray, obviously not a spray bottle this big, but if you've got a little fine mister or something like that, you can use isopropyl alcohol and spritz it out. I find that that helps. I mean, it gives you a pretty fine area and things like that, but I also find that that disperses the scent a lot. So you get a lot of that alcohol smell, that rubbing alcohol smell into the air when you're spraying it. So I try to keep, when I'm using it, I like to use just this guy here and move my alcohol around with that. But I will also use this alcohol blending solution. But if you, like I said, again, this has a resin in it. So you want to make sure that if you are using this, you are not spraying it, because it will activate that resin, and then you'll breathe that in and you'll get that into your lungs. So alcohol blending solution, you never want to spray. Okay. Also, you can move your alcohol inks around and things like that using a straw. I'm going to be using this tool here, which is the Ranger blower tool. You can often find ones on Alley and things like that. It's basically, it's like a photographers use this kind of thing to blow off their negatives and stuff like that. So same thing. But if you find that you have like arthritis or it's really hard on your hands, if you're doing this a lot, because for me, when I bring out my alcohol inks, I like to play with them and get as many backgrounds as possible because it creates a big mess. And I don't bring them out for just one. I like to make several if I can. And but I can find this gets pretty difficult. Actually, it gets to be, my hands get a little sore. So what I will often do then is I have a heating tool, not my heat tool, but almost like a hair dryer with a cool shot to it that I can move the air around really quickly with, which helps. So I do use that every once in a while, and it just kind of moves everything around to get some. So it takes a practice. So the other thing that you will need is some sort of a card base. Okay. What is standard is Yupo, which is because you need something that is non-porous. So your alcohol isn't going to soak into your paper. So that the inks and stuff don't soak into your paper because you want them to move. But the challenge is that, so you need something that is non-porous. You can use acetate, you can use reflective paper, anything that's glossy, you can use, but the standard is Yupo, which is actually kind of like a plastic, which is also why you can't use your heat tools on it because you'll warp it like that really, really fast. But Yupo can be very, very expensive. There's a new brand out called Craft Plastic where you can get opaque, so you can get white, black, kind of an ivory color, but you can also get a see-through one as well. So you can kind of have a see-through example. So that is probably about the half the price of Yupo, which is great. I mean, anything that's less expensive is good. But it does have some, that's a great thing. What I like to use is I just pick up, sorry, this isn't going to fit in frame now. There we go. I just pick up the 4-pack of poster board from, this is the Jot brand from the Dollar Tree. So this is $1.50 here in Canada for 4 pieces. And each piece I cut down into 4 sizes that gives me 5.5 by 7 because it's 14 by 11, each one of those big pieces. So, and I can get, so for $1.25, $1.50 here in Canada, I can get 16 pieces of card that I can play with and not feel too bad about wasting or it not turning out perfect or any of those kind of things. Now, what you do have to pay attention to is that there is a dull side and then there is kind of a smoother side. So you want to make sure that you're always using the smooth side. And you do need to use a lot of alcohol. You have to work quickly with these ones. You can also use the smooth side of photo paper, like photographic paper. That will work too. But if you want to have the time to play and reactivate your inks and or even possibly wipe them entirely off, you want to use something like ceramic or craft plastic or Yupo, okay? Because that's the most plasticized. This will absorb, but it's still good enough that I can play with it, create backgrounds. The other nice thing is I can use alcohol inks and then I can create things that I can die cut because Yupo and craft plastic, you cannot die cut. It's terrible, 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 terrible. Okay. Now, I want to talk about the differences between blending solution and isopropyl alcohol and how that works. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 colors here. Okay, I'm going to do this one here, which is, what color is this? This is Stream. And I want to do another color that's a little different. So let's do this blue. Okay, I'm going to do this blue here. Okay, so you can see that I've got those 2 colors there on the white, which is why I'm doing it on the white. So I'm just going to open this up and I'm going to put a few drops of this blending solution onto. So now it's already starting to move and you can see that each one of these colors is starting to, I want to bring these colors together. So as I bring them together, so I've got the Stream. So this is the full strength of the color. But as I move this out, you can see I start to get a bit of a blend. So it's a blending. So you'll have colors that go in and out, okay? Without necessarily, so they mix, but also blend together. This is how you can put in browns and things like that, okay? So now I'm just using my tool here. This is, again, just this blower, just moving it around in how I would like to move it. Okay, so I've created, that's basically what we're going to do on a piece of card. But you know, you can see here how that moved that. Now I want to show you the difference of what happens when I use the isopropyl alcohol. Okay, so I'm going to do a dot here. So if you remember back to when we did the coloring with alcohol markers, here's what happens. I'm going to put this right in the center. And that's going to push, so you can see the white through that, because the alcohol, the isopropyl alcohol, pushes the alcohol out. So it's going to move it, but it's not going to help it blend together. So now, so you can see how it really thinned out the color as well, because it moved that color out. Versus, look at how thick and it's not opaque, but okay. So either or works great. Now let's try this and see what happens as we activate it. So you can see now that isopropyl alcohol is going down and it's pushing the color out. Okay. So that's the difference between the two. Okay. So now you're like, oh, Corinne, how do you clean that up? Very simple. We're going to take the isopropyl alcohol, just like that. We're going to take a baby wipe and we're going to go in and give it a wipe like this. Okay. Throw that one away. And grab another one. And come in. And if you've got some still left on here, now I'm going to be using this mat, so I don't need it to be super duper clean. But what I like to do is I pull in an alcohol pad swab. You can get these really inexpensive. These are just what, you know, what doctors and nurses or whatever use, or from home for cleaning a spot before you give yourself a shot or something like that, if you're diabetic or whatever. Same thing. So we've got a little bit of alcohol on that side. I'll show you how clean it is. There we go. Okay. Now, clean surface to work with. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put the glossy side up. And I'm going to start with some alcohol. I want to saturate my paper a little bit because I want these colors to be moving around. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to drop in a couple of colors like that. So some stream, let's put in some of the blue because I do like the blue. You can see the colors are starting to move already. And let's pull in this really pretty turquoisey color. Open, yes. Okay. And we're just gonna bring in our blower tool. I'm gonna keep it here on the paper. I'm gonna move that alcohol around, moving the colors in the directions. Whoops. I just shot that a little too far off onto my desk. I have a friend that does this in a salad spinner, and it's just gorgeous. So the centrifugal force just kind of moves everything around. Now I've got this really nice pool here of blue that's still kind of moving. So I want to get some of this mixative, put this rose gold mixative in there. See if we can get that to shift out a little bit. Get a couple of, get that moving a little bit. So the mixative in general, my understanding of how this is supposed to work is that that is supposed to mix with the alcohol and kind of move in with your colors to give you these kind of cool beads of like these lineups of kind of make it look a bit like a marble, where it kind of grasps off the edge and just goes to the it will mix in a little bit, so you get these really cool patterns, but it also hangs out right at the edge of where your alcohol is, right? Now, I'm going to keep moving this from different directions, okay, till my alcohol is dry. And if I'm happy with where it is or how it's looking, I kind of bring it up a little higher then, but I do want some color over there. Let's see. So you can start to see where some of the air is kind of moving. Okay. I'd like to get these kind of wispy lines like that, where you kind of end up getting, see how it kind of dries in that one spot, and then you can kind of bring it in. So I've got a couple of lighter colors here. Almost dry. So, and the nice thing about using this size of card is I can trim it down. So you can see here when I put the color down, there wasn't any alcohol in that area, so I've got a drop here. So I can trim that down a little bit, but I'm really, it's pretty cool actually. Pretty happy with that background. Now let's look that up. There's a little bit left here on the sides, so let's kind of bring that in. Now I've got, I don't know if you guys can see this edge here. I don't know if you can see that edge. Nope, you can't. There we go. So that blue where it came in has a bit of a harsh edge. So I do want to bring in a little bit of alcohol and just kind of reactivate a little bit of that and kind of blow it around a little bit so that it doesn't have just looks like a streak there. Yay. Okay. What do we think? And of course, you get this really interesting pattern on the back as well, because it does saturate the paper a little bit, because this is not fully, so the word that I'm looking for, it's not fully plastic, right? So dry that. Now, because it is alcohol, it will dry quite quickly. Like this is almost dry now. But that is going to be a beautiful background for a card, right? So now you might be wondering, okay, Corinne, what am I supposed to do with that? Look at that. Okay, like that's gorgeous, right? There's one. So we'll create, I'm going to do a couple more backgrounds, but look at, let's put a beautiful dye on it. Oh, good. Continue to dry. I'm going to wipe up a little bit of my alcohol ink here. Clean it up, because anything that I put down now on top of this, that will pick up onto my card. So I want to make sure that in between, I'm making an effort to kind of clean it up a little bit. Doesn't have to be totally great, but I do want it to be cleaned up just a weensy bit. Okay. Now, let's pull out another one. So another thing that we can do is, so this is a ink blending tool. So you've seen this one's for the alcohol inks, and it's rectangular, but you've seen the other ones that Tim Holtz has that are the circular ones. You can use domes or felt or whatever. So this one has felt that we use. Very simply, you take that and you kind of just put that, it's just a piece of white felt, very simple. I think I'm kind of out of frame here, so I'm gonna take that a little bit like that. There we go. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to take this pretty yellow, which is called Sunshine. Sunshine. And I'm going to put a couple of drops on here, like so. Put that back on. And then I'm going to cover the base. Okay, so I've still got the shiny side. So you want to make sure you've got the shiny side, not the matte side. And I'm just going to cover this like that. Okay, covering the base. So I've now got a fully saturated piece in yellow. Now, what I want to do is I want to take a little bit of this pretty colored green, which I think this is lettuce, but don't, let me see. Can I see the color? Where are you color? Oh, limeade. And I'm going to put a few spritzes of limeade on there. Okay. And then I'm also going to do maybe this pretty, let's see which one is this one? Did I use this one before? Stream. I have two streams. I have two streams. Very funny. Maybe I should put one of them aside so that I can keep using one. That would be a good plan. Okay, so and then I'm just going to put a couple of dots like that. Okay. Okay, and then do I want to use a cranberry? Cranberry or which one is this one? I don't see the color. Oh, oh, I have umpteen cranberries too. Okay, so I have two cranberries. Let's put those aside. Okay. And then do drop, drop. Okay, so there's already some isopropyl alcohol on here, but what I do want is I want these to kind of blend together just a little bit. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to stamp just like this. And I'm turning so that I don't end up with a harsh edge on my cardstock here, okay, or whatever you want to call this. So, and I had a little bit of a drop there. So let's kind of bring that in. Okay. And then we can move that around a little bit because again, it is still alcohol and it is, live isn't quite the right word, but it is going to move, right? And so now what we're going to get is we're going to look at how much deeper that second generation is compared to the first. So again, I'm going to put in a little bit of alcohol onto my tool here, whatever you want to call that. And I'm going to go in, shifting it back and forth, turning it, just building up the layers. This is going to create a really cool background for a Lavinia stamp, right? Like this. So you've got this center where you're going to have your fairy around the sides. This begins to look a little bit like either like a wreath or a flower background. Yeah. And you're, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera or not, but you can start to see where the alcohol is moving on each of these items. Like look right here. You can see there's a couple of different spokes or holes. It's not a hole, it's a, but it moves the other colors around, but still continues to keep them as those colors, right? Because we have red and green, which are quite analogous colors, like they're opposite, but I'm not getting a brown. Okay. Let's have a looky-see here. So it's still continuing to move. So I'm gonna go. That is really cool. Looks nice. I like it. That's going to be really nice. And because this isn't plastic, I can, if I put this in my stamp position, I can actually stamp a silhouette onto this. So that's the challenge with Yupo, craft plastic, things like that. You can't actually stamp on top of this. You would have to use an alcohol lift ink to get a print off of this. So you'd have to put it on there and then put another piece of paper that you can stamp on top of it, lift the print. So it'll lift up all of that ink onto your regular cardstock. But this, I don't need to worry about that. I can actually stamp on this and the ink will soak into the paper. Okay. So that's technique number 2. So let's play. This isn't too bad, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Let's play now with, yeah, you know what? I lied. I am going to pick that up because it's a couple of colors that I don't need to have in there. Let's play with the words, would use your words free. Let's play with the alcohol blending solution and maybe the alloy. Okay, see what happens when we try it out. Get this moving. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay. So the colors that I want to use. So this time I'm going to soak my paper down with the blending solution. Okay. And I'm going to use this really pretty teak wood color, which is a brown, which I wouldn't think would look nice on here, but it does. And then I'm going to bring in the stream and this mermaid. So kind of like this brown with these turquoisey colors. And I'm using quite a bit of ink here. You don't have to use as much, but I clearly have a lot that I haven't used. So let's use it. Okay, so you can see here with the alloy, it goes in and it mixes into the alcohol and it kind of starts to spread, right? Okay, so let's get these guys on the move here before it saturates my paper too much and I can't move them. So the alloy now is going to be along the edges of where all of my, so it kind of creates like that marble look and it moves along the edge of where the color is. Okay. Okay. So basically what happened with this color, with the blending, the alcohol blending solution, you can see how much of the brown and that first color, the mermaid, kind of ended up making a bit of a brown, like more brown, like a greeny brown kind of color, because it did blend. Getting this nice deep color of brown here, which is nice. Let's see if we can shift this little bit of alloy that's here. Move that around a bit. Yes, we can. So, and I want to kind of catch the edges here, see if I can reactivate any of that. Oop, and I got a bit of turquoise on my lid there, nozzle, whatever you want to call it. Activate the edge of that color and get a little bit of the wispiness into this. And the thing I want to do here is activate this edge of color. Go into the color and then kind of pull it out into the color, start moving it around. That's so. So the interesting thing with alcohol inks too is that you have to, it's the same as any kind of art project. You have to watch. You need to learn to when to call it because you can just keep doing this for, days. And now my hand is starting to get sore. So this is why I like to use the air blower if I can, just because it allows me to play just a little bit longer with some of these. But again, it's to my detriment because you can only get these things going for so long. You have to learn how to call it when it's good. Call it when it's good. Call it when it's good. Okay. Well, that is very cool. I've got this really beautiful tiki color here. I'm not happy with that little droplet there. So let's see if we can kind of activate that a bit. Shiving it around, shiving it around. There we go. Okay. All right. What do we think? It's kind of a neat panel, right? That's going to be gorgeous. And we've got all of these cute little, not cute, but these beautiful lines of, so you can see where the gold kind of um, pools at the edge of all of these lines. So it's all got a little bit of a hint of gold to it. Right along there from, well, rose gold, whatever. So it's the alloy that I had. Yep, happy with that one. Okay, I'm gonna put that on the side for now. That dry a little bit. It's almost dry, but it's always good. Okay, so I'm gonna put my lid back on my blending solution. I'm gonna clean this off a little bit, and then I'm gonna use the same colors, show you that, see if we can see a difference between the two, using the same colors, using the blending isopropyl alcohol, just because I really like these and I want to make a card base out of these. So these are some of my favorite colors to use. I think they're just beautiful. So I'm going to soak my paper. Well, not soak, but I'm going to add down my isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to add down my brown, or the teak wood, whatever. Okay, add a couple of shots of brown. I think I'm going to use the alloy as well. Let's actually do that up. Okay, alloy. Use one. You don't need a lot of the alloy, obviously. I think in the last one I used too much. So let's put that there. What do they use? Stream. So some stream. And then this lighter color of mermaid would be quite lovely. All right. So let's do that. All right. And we're going to bring in the blower. And to start with, we're just going to start getting color moving around. You don't need to be too hard with it, because when I did that the last time, I shot it right off the side of all of my crafting surfaces here, which was not genius, is what I'm going to say. Not smart. One of those SMRT moments. Yeah. Okay. So I'm liking this, but I also want to make sure that I'm keeping some of that really pretty turquoisey stream color, because I want to make sure that I'm getting that with the browns, with the greens. And I want to move that alloy around. So let's get it, because I don't want it just sitting in one spot. I want to make sure that it's moving. I mean, it's not the worst thing to have it in one spot, but that's not kind of the look that I'm going for. So I have enough here that if I had another piece of card, I could actually turn it over and lift some ink off of this, because it's a lot of ink here. But I want to move that alloy around, keeping some of those green areas, some of those turquoise areas. Whoop, let's get it away from there, because I want to keep some of that area, right? So the interesting thing that I find is, as you let it sit for a minute, it kind of stains your paper, and then you get this kind of wispy look to it, right? So the interesting thing that I'm finding with this particular one, with the alloy, is that using the isopropyl alcohol instead of the blending solution, and finding that the alloy really does want to clump together a lot more, which is interesting. Okay, so she's almost all finished here. I do want to see about getting a little bit more areas, coloring it. Make sure we've got some there. I don't know. Should we mess with that? See if we can activate. Oh yeah, okay, good. We were able to activate that kind of puddle of alloy there. Ooh, this is pretty. This is very earthy. This is going to make a really nice guy's card. Neat. Very earthy looking. My wrist hurts. Okay. Oh, a little dry, still gotta dry that there. Okay, I'm gonna put this aside. There we go. Did you see that? But I'm gonna put this aside, I'm gonna clean this up, and then I'm gonna bring in the other one that I did using the blending solution, and we'll take a look and see if there's a difference. I think there is a difference, but we'll take a look. No. Slide here, well, it's got a lot of alcohol in here. You got a little carried away with one of my spritzes. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that there. Let's have a look. Okay, so on the right side, this was done using the blending solution. On the left side, this was done using the alcohol, the isopropyl alcohol only. Okay. So now you can also, these ones mix just fine. Like you don't have to use one or the other. I just tend to use a lot of the alcohol because it's less expensive. Like this little guy here, this was $5, and this was a while ago when I got it. So, you know, that's versus this thing was $3, I think, something to that extent. So, you know, you can obviously use a lot more. So, and I like to play with them. I don't expect this to be perfect or in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I really don't. So, yeah, now with these guys, look at how, so this is the one. But what my plan for these is I'm going to use these and I'm going to put a silhouette die on them. But look at how lovely that is. Like, tell me that is not an absolutely gorgeous men's card, right? Like, that's just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. That's lovely. And same thing here. So we've got the beautiful, like, lake. We can go here with the gold in the background. In fact, I could probably get two out of this, right? Like, look at, that's lovely. So that's one of them. Let me show you the other one here that I have cut. Excuse me. So it doesn't have to be a black silhouette, it could also be a white silhouette too, but look at that. Or where all the gold is, all the gold and yellows. Look at how nice that is. And same thing. Look at that. Just beautiful, 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 beautiful. Okay, so those are the basics of playing with alcohol inks. That's what it's going to be. I'm not going to make a card today out of this. I'm going to film another video, which I will show making the card. But a second technique using alcohol inks. But look at, so this one, I think I'm going to use the mousse on. But look at this with that silver where we use the mixative. Yeah, that's going to be my card right there. So I'm going to trim this down to probably fit for a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card. And so I should be able to get 2 panels out of this. I'll have a little bit left over that I can use die cut, make a happy birthday sentiment out of or something like that. But look at where that silver hits, right? So if I plan that just right, I can have that silver hitting where my light is. I can trim this down. I can just be the background. Like that is lovely. This one I'm going to use and I'm going to stamp like one of my fairy stamps on it. Really nice. Have just got this highlighted right there already. This one, that's also going to be a really nice men's card. I think it's just really pretty. This could be a ladies card too, actually. It doesn't have to be men's. But this one, I love how smooth this came out with using the isopropyl alcohol. And this is just gorgeous. Like that's my card right there. So, well, okay, fine. I'll turn this into a card. I said I wasn't going to do a card, but I'll do the card. I hear you guys going, come on, Corinne, we need to see the card. Maybe you don't need to see the card. I don't know, but we're going to make the card. So we've got, let's do it. An envelope, or is that a card base? Nope, that's it. Where are the card bases? Okay, so this is going to be a 5 1/2. I think that's what these are. Is that what this is? I always forget what size this is. Seeing as how I've got such a nice, so this is 6 1/2 by 5. Okay, so let's trim this down to, let's go here. So this is, I want this to be 5, so that's at 5 1/4. So which part, I don't like that edge, so let's go. Okay. And I said 6. Did I say 6 or 6.5? See, this is why. Ooh, and I managed to get some ink on it too, 6.5. So I need this to be 6 1/4. So I'm going to take the edge off of this one. Okay, and then I also needed to take a little bit off of this because I'm going to be 1 3/4 here. And we're going to come down here. You can see here, it's not quite dry, so it is coming up on my primer. I'll have to wipe that down, but that's okay. It's pretty close. That. Okay, I'm going to glue this down off camera here just to the side because it's a little, I've got a lot of what's on the side here. So, which I don't want to get on my card. So you're just going to have to bear with me as I do this off to the side because I'm getting hands here. Okay. So this is a really good example. So you can see a few of the places here where I've gotten a little bit of ink. So it's not too bad. If once I put my card base down, like once I put this on top of my card, if that's still showing, I can actually use my sanding eraser to remove some of that. But I'm hoping it won't be too bad. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Ooh. Oh. All right. And I did manage to get a weensy bit of ink on the edge here, just on the edge here. So I'm just going to take my sanding eraser, fluff that off a little bit. So it looks like I got a little bit of adhesive on it too. That's awesome. To make sure that that adhesive dries. I'll try and lift it. That's okay. Okay. Now I am going to put down my die cut here, which you need some tweezers to hold on to because it's very fine, this little guy. You can't see me here. I'm just kind of covering my die cut with some adhesive, liquid adhesive. Touching a couple of the areas here so that everything will stick down nicely, which is good. And center that on there. All right, check that out. How beautiful is that, right? Like that is just so nice. I'm really happy with that. Now I'm just gonna put that to the side and put a block on it set that down, but yeah. Okay, guys, that's going to be alcohol ink, using alcohol inks 101. We'll call that a good. I'm going to film a second one here right away. I will catch you guys next class. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to comment, subscribe, and share the video if you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please do leave them down in the comments. Please remember to keep it kind, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.